Hey guys, it's Jessica. That came out weird. I like always wave with my right hand. I don't know how to do it over here. Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Okay. I bet I could do like every YouTuber I watch. I could do like all of their intros. Like, hey guys. Who is that? 11th Gorgeous. How does Tarte do it? She always goes, hey guys. Couldn't you guys like do everyone's? And I bet a lot of you guys could do like my outro too. Anyway, I love YouTube. Okay, so I have 15 drugstore concealers in my collection. I did not realize how many concealers generally, because that means I have even more concealers just total. But I currently have 15 in my collection that are drugstore, assuming I counted correctly. And I'm now thinking there might be one in my bathroom. Let me go check. 16! I found another one. Oh my gosh. This is awesome. So I'm going to give mini reviews of every single concealer that I have that is drugstore. I've been doing these for a while now. I really like doing them and I wish more YouTubers did them because it's a great way for you guys to see what all I own if you're ever wanting like a more in-depth review, but also it's a really quick way to find out like what concealers should you run out and buy if you're in need of a concealer? Like what's one of these that sounds like it's right for your skin type or skin tone or, you know, whatever it might be. So I don't even know where to start. Some of these are getting older and so I'm excited to tell you guys about them and my thoughts because they really are probably needing to be trash. So I'm gonna show you mini reviews of all now 16 of these concealers. I'm also gonna show you swatches so you can get an idea of what the formula looks like, things like that. So if you enjoyed this style of video, I've also done one on my drugstore bronzers, drugstore foundations. I want to say I've done maybe one or two other ones, so I will link those below if you are interested in seeing those, because I'm really enjoying doing this style of videos, and I know a lot of you guys are too, because it's such a quick way to get an idea of a bunch of drugstore products out there and which ones are actually worth trying and which ones maybe you should pass on. Anyway, so I hope that you will subscribe as well, and let's go ahead and get into it. I want to start with something brand new. It's not really a concealer, but I felt like mentioning, well, actually, technically it is, but it's the Maybelline Master Camo in Apricot. I use this to cancel out my under eye, like dark circles and like my dark circles there, and it is amazing. It really does come out apricot. I mean, like that is the whole game. So you have to put a concealer over it after you blend this in, but it does such a great job. I did that today. I really was so impressed. So, and it's one of those newer out there and they have other shades. So I wanted to mention that first because I didn't want to forget. It's amazing. The next one, which actually is what I'm wearing today as well, on top of that Master Camo, is from Milani. This is their Retouch and Erase Light Lifting Concealer. This one is amazing. Amazing. I wish Milani was more readily available for everyone. And I know I don't like talking about them too much, but it's hard not to because they're so good. But it has this kind of soft sponge, yeah, no, it really is a true sponge on top of it. But I just kind of use my fingers. You know, it is what it is. It's your own concealer, so do what you want with it. It's a beautiful concealer. This is one of those concealers that it brightens, but it also corrects. So it kind of does exactly what I want it to do. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, all of these concealers, in fact, every concealer I've ever tried settles into fine lines, period. So if you're hoping for a miracle worker, I don't have it for you. I don't know that that exists. I think the difference would be like whether you set your concealer or not, or some people will put like eye primer, like eyeshadow primer underneath as well. I've done that. It usually will make it a little bit better, but then it will kind of look weird way later in the day. So you kind of got to pick your poison, like which one is worse to you. Do you want it to look weird and crepey throughout the day, but it doesn't settle in the fine lines? Or do you want it to just go ahead and settle? Because what I do is just every once in a while, just kind of do that and it's fine. So anyway, so all of these settle into fine lines. I figure I'd get that out in the open now, but these are just beautiful. What I try to do is I just try to avoid that area and really focus it like here and here for me. Of course, in my blending, it almost always still creeps up there a little bit, but I don't mind it. So this is easily one of my top 5 concealers at the drugstore. It's gorgeous, it corrects and it brightens, and I wear it in the shade Fair, which really, I mean, today I'm self-tanned, so I'm tanner than I usually am. but I could probably get the next shade up as well. But I really, really like this. And it's just one of those that it's really creamy. You know what I mean? When I think of creamy concealers, that's one of the first ones I think of. Next is the Neutrogena Healthy Skin 3-in-1 Concealer for Eyes. This was a recent purchase for me because I was like, why doesn't anyone ever talk about Neutrogena? Like, I never hear people, and I'm like, it can't be that bad of a brand if they're in like every drugstore and they've been around for a long time. So anyway, I'm just been more and more curious about their products because I've tried some of their foundations and I've liked them and things like that. So I decided to give this one a try, and I think it's good. I don't think it's like something that you need to run out and buy, but if you have like a coupon for Neutrogena, or maybe it's like buy one get one half off, I could see recommending, what am I trying to say? I would recommend still trying it, but if you're just looking for like the best concealer in the drugstore, I don't think this is it. But what I do think is cool is that it does have SPF of 20, which is really nice. Now this is a lot less brightening just because of the shade I got. This is the shade Fair 05, interesting. So it is a lot deeper than the other one I just swatched, but I do like it. And if you know you want SPF in that region, then you're going to love this because it's still a good formula. It's just not my favorite. I don't think it covers as much as something like the Milani one does. So if I were battling these, the Milani one would easily win. My next one is from L'Oreal, and I've got to be honest, I don't know that they sell this anymore. If I can find it online, I will link it, but it might be discontinued. So I'm just going to talk about it briefly. It's really nice. It's got a ton of concealer. Like, for example, this one has 0.27. This one has 0.6 fluid. That's a ton of concealer. But it's their Visible Lift Blur. And I think I liked this because it was more of a neutral tone than a lot of concealers I've tried. And it was really easy to blend. I really like this concealer. So I don't think it's bad yet. So I'm definitely going to keep it and keep using it. But I really, really like this concealer. I hope you guys can find it. Next one, this is a like dark circle corrector. It's the Pixi Correction Concentrate in Brightening Peach. I really like this stuff. I compare it all the time to my much more expensive Bobbi Braun. Is that in here? No, it is not. I have it in Brightening Peach. Did I already say that? I think I did. But I compare it to the Bobbi Braun one all the time. I do think the Bobbi Braun formula is maybe a smidge better, but not enough that it's worth you guys running out and spending, you know, a lot more than this. Now, again, Pixi is a little bit more expensive, so, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, it probably is not that much more to get the Bobbi Braun one when you compare. I don't know. I'll put the price of this on the screen or down below. Anyway, but I really, really like this stuff. I've traveled with it before. It's just got that classic apricot color, but with this, you don't necessarily have to cover it with another concealer. And so when I compare it to like the Master Camo, I think this covers a lot, but you have to cover it in concealer, whereas with this one, it kind of serves as the concealer. You could put another one, but I usually just wear this and call it a day. But I really like this stuff too. Next one is an oldie but a goodie. I've had this one for so long. Well, I mean, let me rephrase. I've repurchased this, so it's always in my collection in some capacity. It's the Maybelline Dream Lumi Concealer. It gets really dirty really easily. The writing always gets worn off, which always is like, but it's just one of those really beautiful brightening pens. What I like about this though is I feel like this one actually has coverage, whereas like the YSL one that's really expensive, let me show you. The YSL one is like 4 or 5 times the price of this, and it just doesn't quite have as much coverage. It's a little bit more see-through. This is the YSL one. And I don't think the YSL one is meant to have coverage, so it's not like it's a knock on this product, but you know, a lot of people say these are dupes, and I think I've probably even said, you know, years ago that maybe they were similar in dupes. And while I do think they're very similar in their packaging, I think that the Maybelline one is better because I like that it has both coverage and brightening, and it's a really thin formula. And so it's really quick to blend in. And this is one of those concealers that I can throw on and blend with my finger, and in like 3 seconds, it looks perfect. Like I don't have to futz with it, and you know, it doesn't get cakey in areas. No, it just looks beautiful. It looks like skin, but just perfected. I love this stuff. Gosh, I forgot how good this stuff was. If you are looking for like the ultimate high coverage, this is the NYX Gotcha Covered Concealer. This freaking stuff is absolutely waterproof. absolutely full coverage, like the max concealer. So like if I needed to look like there was literally, like my skin was like a porcelain doll, this is the concealer I would grab. Honestly, I just don't ever wear it because I never need that much coverage. But if you do, this will be your best friend. It's pretty inexpensive because it is NYX, so it's, I mean, all of these are drugstore, but it's just amazing. I did test it to see if it's waterproof in the shower, and I did a video like a year ago. It is. I mean, it does not budge. So it's amazing. It's really thick, like really thick and really tacky. So while it covers a ton, I would say you definitely need to set it for sure. And it really is awesome though. But like I said, I just don't ever use it. I don't even wear it for events because I would rather, I don't know, what do I usually wear for like events? Really for events, I usually wear something like a brightening, you know, like a peach color and then a concealer over it. And I'm trying to think, I know that I've worn this number 712 to an event before. Anyway, so when I say event, I mean like, you know, not just me like going to a YouTube event. I don't go to that many, but like thinking of like, you know, if you're at a special event like a wedding or anything like that where you know there's gonna be photos and flash photography and you really wanna look your best, your most presentable. Anyway, but you totally could wear this. I don't see why there would be any flashback at all. There's no SPF in it, so this might be the most ideal. And this is absolutely a dupe for the Tarte, oh, what is it called? I'll put it on the screen. I used to own it. It is exactly the same formula, so you can save a ton of money. Next up is another one that's been in the drugstore for a very long time. This is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Treatment Eraser Dark Circles Treatment Concealer with goji berry and haloxyl. I don't know if I said that right. So I have it in the shade Neutralizer. I've owned many different shades of this. I've owned the ones that are like actual concealer shades. I've owned the one that's brightening and it's more of like a pink, like a light pink. And then this one is a much more yellow tone. And it's meant to, let me actually get it up into the sponge. So it has this creepy, gross sponge. They say is, how do they say it? Like it's a antibacterial, antimicrobial sponge. It might be, I don't know. I mean, I still use it, but this one is getting older. So I do, you know, that's one that I don't really mess around with. Like I just throw it away if I think it's gone off. But it has really high coverage. And I think you'd look at this and think, oh, it'll be kind of nice and like light. No, it has crazy coverage for this neutralizer. And what I remember of the brightening one is that it was almost too brightening, but it was amazing. So if you want like that white pink brightening, that stuff is crazy. But the neutralizer really does a great job, again, even on dark circles. What I would like to buy next of this, what I would like to buy next with this brand would be the, like just a regular concealer shade again, because I think I like that. I prefer that over the neutralizer, but it really, I mean, this stuff is incredible and it lasts a surprising amount of time. And I like that you can actually see how much is left and that you're using it all up. And if the sponge grosses you out, a lot of people just take the sponge off and it'll still come up through like the little, cylinder that's coming up. Obviously I have a lot that I really like, so it's hard, but I will tell you about one that I don't like. This is actually a new one that I haven't opened because I've already gotten rid of this once and I got sent another one. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Total Cover Pro Color Correcting Palette. So they have this one that's kind of peachy to disguise dark circles, the yellow for discoloration, the green is for redness, and the purple is to brighten. I just don't think these are very good. I feel like, again, you'd be better off if you really needed a certain color, you know, get the one color you need in something like this that's a little easier to work with, that's a little bit creamier. You know, these will swatch just fine. I'm sorry, I don't want to open it because I figure if someone really wanted this like a sister, I'd rather give it to them new. But I've swatched these already, I've used these, and the green just doesn't stay. Like I've tried it on my nose and it just looked crazy. It just looked green, and then when I put foundation over it, it just kind of moved around, and I'm like, ugh. So, I don't know. I just don't think it's worth the price. I'm sure this is probably around $10, maybe a little bit more, and I just don't think it's good. Next up is kind of a, would you call this a cult classic? I feel like I've known about this concealer for so long, like back when I first started my YouTube channel. And it's the NYX HD Studio Concealer. I remember owning this and like saving up to go to Ulta to buy like the NYX HD concealer, and then I bought the NYX HD like powder or something like that. And I think I bought like one other thing, like I think they had an HD foundation. So I like bought it all thinking, oh wow, HD, it's gonna be amazing. I remember being kind of underwhelmed, but I still used it all up because I was, you know, I was just excited. I was so excited anytime I could afford to buy some new makeup. Anyway, this one, it's good. I just don't think it's like the best concealer out there. It's a lot more of a thinner formula. You can kind of see through it. So it's a little bit harder to build up. So I don't think, you know, you'd think HD would be like, oh, it'll be like insane coverage. No, but I think now when I think of HD, I think, okay, it needs to look good even if something is like in perfect focus. So maybe it wouldn't be that it's crazy high coverage. Maybe it's more that it doesn't look cakey and stuff. But I just feel like you know, it's just a very middle of the road concealer. I don't think it does anything special. It's not super high coverage. I don't think it's bad though. So, you know, if you found like the perfect shade and you wanted to try it, I don't think it's a bad concealer. It stays in place pretty well, but I just don't think it's like my favorite. I hope that makes sense. I'm kind of realizing I like a creamy concealer. I don't like it really thick, but I also don't like it really thin. I like it right in the middle. And so this one's kind of on the thinner side and I just wasn't very impressed with it. And this is the second time I've tried it, the second one I bought. I don't know why I keep buying it thinking it's gonna suddenly be magically different. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more. Let's keep going. All right, the next one is from Wet n Wild. And a lot of people were talking about this for the longest time. It's the Photo Focus Concealer. This is actually really good for the price. Again, it's got that kind of same consistency as the NYX HD one I just talked about, but I think this one has a little bit better coverage. So it's still kind of thinner. It's not a thick formula by any means. It reminds me of like the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, but the NARS one is creamier. It's a little bit easier to blend, but I still remember being very impressed the very first time I tried it. And so I still reach for this from time to time. Just because I really like it. I think I need to, this is light ivory, and I think I had, was there a one lighter than this? And that one was like too light. But I think the formula is great, especially considering this is a cheaper drugstore option. The thing about drugstore is, and I know I talk about it a lot, and I know you guys have noticed, but like drugstore nowadays, L'Oreal, Maybelline, I mean, these things are creeping up on $10, $12, $15. I'm like, drugstore to me should be like the prices of Wet n Wild, you know what I mean? Like $5, $6 or less. So anyway, regardless though, I think this is great, especially if you're in a pinch for money. Is it my favorite concealer in the drugstore? No. And at the end of this video, I'll tell you what my top 3 are out of all of these. You'll probably be able to guess, but I'll tell you my top 3, just so you can kind of, you know, now that you've watched it all, you can kind of see like, okay, so to sum it all up, here are my favorites. Anyway. So it's okay. I do like this one better than the NYX HD. I will say that. Next is one that I've gotten a lot of questions about. It's the CoverGirl Outlast All Day Concealer. I have it in Fair. I just remember feeling like every time I've used this that it's pretty good. It's about the right consistency that I like. It's super creamy, not too thin but not too thick. But I just remember I felt like it moved around a lot. Like it didn't stay in place the way I needed it to. So I felt like I needed like a primer underneath it, which is never a step I really want to do with concealer because the less under my eye, the better. So for me, like I didn't hate it, but I don't think I would ever repurchase this. Like if I ran out, I wouldn't run out and buy it again. Will I continue to use it? Yeah, because I don't think it's bad. But again, it's not one that I think you need to run out and get unless you have like amazing under eye where you can put something on like this and it wouldn't budge. But for me, it really just kind of moved around. Like if I feel like if I like touch my eye, it'd be gone. And I didn't like that. Next up is one of my holy grails. It's the No. 7 Radiant Glow Concealer. This one's so much more similar to the YSL one that I showed you earlier. It's the same applicator, just like the Maybelline Dream Lumi one. Same kind of applicator. This is sold at Target. I always hesitate to call No. 7 or Pixi or any of those Target brands drugstore because they're usually more expensive, but they're not like high-end prices. So this one's kind of drugstore, but I wanted to mention it anyway because it's so good. I think I'm almost out of this one. This is the one that I use this up, I've had to replace. Like this is one of the few concealers I've used up. Again, it's a very thin consistency, which I don't typically like, but it's just like that Maybelline one where I feel like it has enough coverage and when I just go it's blended in perfectly. I don't need a sponge, I don't need a brush. It is the quickest concealer and that's why it's one of my go-tos. It just looks beautiful. It's not a high coverage, like I said, but it just makes my, that area on my inner corner and my under eye just pretty. And that's why I continue to go back to it over and over again. It's almost something you can't explain until you try it. This next one I bought overseas. I think like in the Dublin airport or somewhere, but it's from Bourjois and it's the Radiance Reveal Concealer. So I know in America, the odds of us being able to get this is slim. I'll see if I can find it, but I know it's sold in a lot of other countries. Well, it's amazing. It's so brightening and yet it conceals well enough. It is just a really good concealer. And I feel like I've consistently tried so many products from brands that I can't get in America. I'll always haul a bunch of makeup and then I end up getting rid of it over time just because I'm not as impressed with it as I'd hoped to be. But this one was one that I was so impressed with. I just love it. Again, it reminds me of this number 7 one, but maybe it has a little bit more coverage. I'd heard some people say when I showed it on my Snapchat back when we were traveling and I showed this, some of you guys said, oh, you know, be careful when you fly with it, because people have said that when they would use it there overseas, but once they flew with it, like the consistency was different, the formula changed. So it didn't seem to change for me, which is good. I love it so much. It's, again, one of those that blends in so seamlessly that it looks like you're not wearing concealer. It looks like you just naturally have really nice under eyes, and I love that. Last two are ones that I have not tried as much, but I figured I would at least show you them so you can at least know that they exist and that they're out there, but I really can't give you my full thoughts on them yet. But this is the Pixi Pat Away Concealing Base. Absolutely looks a lot like the Tarte Shape Tape. A little bit of a different shaped doe foot applicator, but I think that was the idea. It's got the same kind of a formula. I think the Shape Tape's a little bit thicker. Let's compare. They're probably going to be a different shade. But just looking at the doe foot, very similar sizes. Let's just see. Oh no. So I do think the Tarte Shape Tape has way higher coverage. So the Pixi one is a lot thinner than the Tarte Shape Tape, like a lot thinner. But in that way, like the Tarte Shape Tape, I know so many people like. For me, every time I use it, and I've used it a million times, a million different ways, I just feel like it's so much more work than I want it to be. Whereas the Pixi one does feel like it's a little bit less work. That might be because it is thinner, but I think it also doesn't have quite as high of coverage as the Tarte Shape Tape because of that. So I think it's a good concealer. I just need to try it out some more. The last one is this Revlon Youth FX Fill and Blur Concealer, and I'm gonna be honest, I haven't even tried this at all. So let's try it. It's a pen type. I got it in Fair. So we'll at least swatch. The applicator is really a soft sponge. So it comes through a bunch of tiny holes. Ooh. It's really creamy, and it looks like it would have pretty good coverage. This feels like the NARS Creamy Concealer to me. Like the same consistency. It even looks like a shade, like the shade Vanilla. That's pretty cool. So I said I got it in Fair. I think the idea is it's supposed to look like it's kind of anti-aging. It filled those areas, so I'll have to try it out and let you guys know. But formula-wise, it feels like one that I really would like, so that's exciting. I can tell you what will drive me nuts already, though, is that this is going to be super dirty. Okay, I know I said I would do a top 3 concealers, but I'm going to do top 4. I'm sorry. I'm just going to do it. So out of all of that, I just picked out my top 4. My top one for coverage is this NYX Got You Covered. Like I said earlier, it is unbelievable for coverage, unmatched in the drugstore, totally awesome. My favorite, just everyday, probably overall concealer is the Milani Retouch and Erase. I just think it's amazing. It's what I'm wearing today for a reason. It just looks flawless, it's creamy, it has great coverage, it brightens, it's got it all, I love it. And then my favorite kind of brightening quick concealers, it's just a tie between the number 7 one and the Maybelline Dream Lumi. They're both so similar and they're just both so beautiful. The Maybelline one's a little bit cheaper, so I would probably just go for that one. But I love them both. I've repurchased both in the past, so they're kind of tied for that same kind of brightening, everyday, quick, but pretty concealer look. So those are all of my drugstore concealers. Whew, it was a lot. I always do declutters, and I'm gonna start decluttering my collection again soon. I'll probably do concealers soon, and so some of these will be decluttered, whether it's because I just wasn't impressed with them, or they're just old and it's time. You know, there's a lot of these that I really feel like that's obviously it's way too many concealers, but I'm always excited to be able to share all these with you so you guys can know what is out there, what you should avoid, what you should try out, etc. So if you enjoyed, I hope that you'll give this video a thumbs up, and I hope you'll comment below letting me know what your favorite concealer is. And other than that, I hope you'll subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye. Add this in.